Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another mukbang. Whew! It has been a stressful day. I am here with you from home today, not in my car, unfortunately, because it would be really hard to get this tray set up in the car without things like flying everywhere. So today we are featuring a very special guest, a guest that actually opens tomorrow in Hillcrest. Well, tomorrow being the 6th of February, because God knows how long it's gonna take for me to get this up. But this special guest is called Baba's Chicken. They are a Los Angeles, Nashville hot chicken fried hot chicken Nashville chain. Something like that, with the Nashville and the hot and the fried and all that good stuff. So as you can see today, we have a really gorgeous spread of food. I mean, come on, look at this. Gus is back in action. Gus, our handy dandy serving tray, for those that don't know, is doing wonderful work. My arm is incredibly sore from holding up this plate of food while taking pictures outside. Like, my right bicep is literally trembling so hard from holding this up while I was taking pictures of it. So how are you guys doing today? I hope you're having a fabulous day. It's nice and warm where we are, so I'm pretty happy. So besides trying this lovely spread of food today, I'm also going to be telling you about my life update, because I know you guys have been waiting. Or maybe you haven't been waiting because you're not that interested and don't care, but that's okay too, whatever. So I'll quickly go over what we got today. So we have a Baba's hot chicken sandwich, which is right here. I got that mild, and who knows, maybe mild might be a little too spicy for me as well. We'll see. Got the tenders, the hot tenders, which once again got mild. We got the loaded fries. I'm super excited for those. Those look really good. And I actually got those in classic, which is no spicy at all, just in case the tenders and the sandwich are too spicy for me. There's a very real possibility of that happening. For the sides, I got the mac. No, I did not get the mac. What did I get? I got the fried pickles. I have not seen that on a menu, so I'm super excited for that. And the grilled cheese, another thing I have not seen on a menu. So, and of course, I had to get cheese dipping sauce. Like, come on. Of course we have to get a cheese dipping sauce, right? Okay, so my major life update is I am participating in a vaccine trial. Clinical trial for a vaccine. I don't know if I'm allowed to say the C word. You know what word I'm talking about. The C-O-V word. Without getting in trouble. So let me get into it. Roll on my sleeves. Ooh, okay, these look really good. These deep fried pickles. Ooh. This is hella good. Or maybe I'm just really fucking hungry. Because I'm really fucking hungry.
Many hours later.
Hey guys, it's me. Hope you're having a wonderful day. As you can see, it's a different day, different time. I'm in my car. Essentially, I looked over that video and I didn't quite like how I explained things, so I'm just gonna redo it a little and re-explain and then stick this into there and hope it doesn't look too weird. Which, let's be honest, it probably will, but hey, that's okay, whatever. So, to give you a little bit of background on me, I graduated with a degree in neuroscience, and I went to a school that was really heavily focused on research. Because of that, I'm very used to participating in experiments. I would oftentimes do them either for extra credit or for money, and I would just do a lot of trials and experiments for the neuroscience department at my school. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I had a good time, and I'm very comfortable with being a guinea pig, essentially. Can't say I was the best participant, just like a side story. So for some of the neuroscience ones, the experiments would be centered around the reward centers in the brain. And for those kinds of studies, what I would do is I would have to play computer games for up to 2 hours sometimes. So I would be stuck into like a tiny room all by myself, just me and the computer, dim the lights for like 2 hours at a time. An hour in, I'd be like, I'm just gonna take a quick nap. And I would just be like out like a light. And like 30 minutes later, I would get like a knock on the door. Be like, hey, you've been in there for a while. Are you almost done? Be like, yeah, I'm almost done. I'm almost done. I swear to God. And so that's what kind of participant I was back in college. So also just a disclaimer, guys, this video is not supposed to be very political and polarizing and really getting into the nitty-gritty of why you should get the vaccine and XYZ. This is just my story, and so take whatever you want from this video, but I'm not trying to tell you what to do or like make a statement or anything like that. So be nice in the comments. If you're a meanie, I will kick you out. Just a warning. Okay. So the other day I was scrolling through my Facebook and an ad pops up. It's like, hey, we're accepting volunteers for this clinical trial for a vaccine. Compensation provided. I'm like, oh, vaccine and compensation? Count me in. So I click on the link and it takes me to a form where I just fill out my basic medical history. Have I had any medication changes? Have I gotten any recent vaccines? Do I have XYZ problems? La-di-da. So I fill out that form. It takes me about 20 minutes. And at the end, it's like, okay, we think that you're a good fit. Let's set up a doctor's appointment. The doctor's appointment being on the phone. Like, okay, great. We'll do that in a few days. Lovely. They send me an email. I don't really look at it. I'm just like, oh, it's a reminder email. Cool. So in the next few days, the doctor calls me and she asks me essentially the same vein of questions about my medical history, maybe like a little more in depth. And at the end, I'm like, okay, so I also have questions. I'm like, am I allowed to know who's producing the vaccine? And she's like, yeah, that was in the informed consent form. Did you read it? I'm like, what informed consent form? She's like, we emailed you a form. Did you read it? I'm like, oh. And no, I didn't. She was like, okay, let's schedule you for your second screening, which is going to be an on-site visit. So we set up the the on-site visit. I go read the informed consent form, and it's essentially a giant-ass packet of everything you need to know about the vaccine trial. Whoa, that's a giant mosquito. So what kind of vaccine is it? The research behind the vaccine, the mechanism of the vaccine, how long the study is, how much compensation you get, what every single visit is about and what they do, about the company, about how many people have gotten it so far, about the side effects, literally any question you have, it's answered by that packet. And so a few things to know is that the vaccine trial is 14 months long. Which sounds pretty long, but that is how long a lot of them need to be in order to get through the regulatory process. And I think Singapore specifically requires it to be 14 months, so. And that I have a 75% chance of receiving the vaccine and a 25% chance of receiving the placebo. I'll be either getting 3 rounds of the vaccine or 3 rounds of the placebo dosage. It's also a double blind, which means neither I nor the doctor know whether I'm getting the vaccine or whether I'm getting the placebo. And then the final thing is that I can leave the study anytime I want. Anytime I decide I want to go, I can go. I don't have to finish receiving dosages. I don't have to get the first dosage. So I'm sure some of you guys are thinking, okay, so what's the risk and is it worth it? So the way I thought about it is, obviously right now I can't get any of the approved vaccines, the Pfizer or the Moderna. All I'm doing right now is sitting around and waiting for my turn for the vaccine, which at this point might be until July. If I enter this study, either number one, I get a vaccine, which is great. That means that I can have at least some level of protection. Or I get a placebo. Then by the time my turn in the vaccine line comes around, if I'm not sure whether I've gotten the vaccine or the placebo, I can leave the study, they'll tell me, and then I can decide whether I want to get the approved vaccine layered on top. So if I do get the vaccine in this study, I can still go and get the approved vaccine on top of that. And I also figured that I would be able to tell based off my side effects if I get the vaccine or the placebo. That's what I was hoping for. So either I'm sure I got the vaccine and yay, I have coverage, or I'm sure that I did not get the vaccine and I'm gonna have to wait to get an approved vaccine, but I'm at least still making money while I'm sitting around waiting for the other vaccines. So it's a win-win if you ask me. Vaccine or money, or vaccine and money, like, I'll take it. So my first on-site visit rolls around. I go to the clinical trial on-site office. I check in. So they take me to the back and they get all of my vitals. My blood pressure, my temperature, my weight, XYZ. We also do a blood draw so that they can make sure that there's no anomalies there and that everything looks good before, I come back and get the vaccine later on. We go so in depth into my medical history though, like, oh my god, like half an hour of rigorous questioning of, tell us all about your history. Do you have any issues with these organs? Do you have any issues with those organs? What about your mom? What about your dad? What about your cats and your brother and your dog and your unborn child? Like, we then went over any questions I had, which, spoiler alert, I didn't. I signed off on a few things, like, what they're allowed to use my information for, whether I wanted to donate extra blood, which, spoiler alert, I wasn't. So I talked to the doctor, everything looked good. We scheduled the second follow-up visit, which was going to be for the vaccine. 5 days go by, and the day for me to get the vaccine rolls around. They call and confirm the visit. They tell me that there wasn't anything wrong with my blood work and everything looks good. So I go in and I made the cardinal mistake of not eating anything beforehand. Huge mistake, because that visit was like 2.5 hours. Yeah, don't do that. Eat before your doctor's appointments. So we do all my vitals, all my tests all over again. And another thing I forgot to mention is that the visit before and that visit, both times I had to take pregnancy tests because it is so important that you are not pregnant during the vaccine trial and that you are not planning on getting pregnant for the entire 14 months. And so they asked me like a good 10 times, are you planning to get pregnant? Has that changed at all? So pregnancy tests, blood pressure tests. So this time around, before I get the vaccine, they did 3 blood pressure tests to really make sure that my blood pressure was stable. They did a spit test to check if I have COVID as well. A doctor comes in and assesses my arm and looks at all my charts and sees if I'm ready to go. And they decide, okay, she's ready to go. She's got the green light. I go into a waiting room while they wait for the vaccine to thaw out. Vaccine. So during this time, I download an app. And essentially what that app does is keep track of my symptoms and any bodily things going on for the week after I get the vaccine. So they show me how to use it. I get all set up on there. Great. So I'm waiting in the waiting room. I'm just like watching TV and stuff. Eventually one of them comes in and they're like, Anna, we're ready for you. I'm like, oh God, here it comes. I get up and they take me into this room and they're like all ready to go. They're like, yes, sit down. I'm like, can I at least get a selfie while you're doing it? And the guy's like, I guess, but like make sure my face is not in it. I'm like, yeah, I got you. I'm kind of scared of vaccines. I hate to admit it. Why is that car so loud? Dear God. Jesus. I'm kind of scared of vaccines. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like a little bit frightened, but it was so fast and so painless. Like I sat down, I barely got my phone out in time. He was just like, bloop. Done, okay, off you go. I'm like, really? All right. So I get up and I go back into the waiting room for exactly half an hour because they need to make sure that you do not have an allergic reaction and nothing bad happens to you. So I sit in that waiting room for 30 minutes, starving my ass off. I mean, don't get me wrong, they had chips for snacks, but I did not want chips. So the only reaction I got was extreme crankiness. 30 minutes goes by. They take me back into the room. They recheck all my vitals. They do my blood pressure again 3 times. They take my temperature. make sure I'm all good to go, and then they take a blood test again, and then they send me off. And so for the next week, I recorded all my symptoms and everything going on into the app. So for the 3 days after I got the vaccine, the first symptom was that my arm hurt like a bitch, like a motherfucker. It hurt so fucking badly. I could literally like not move my arm for 3 days. And here's the thing, I fucked up. They said that they would put it in my non-dominant arm, which makes sense. I'm left-handed, and so they put it in my right arm. What I did not think about was that at night, I only sleep on my right arm. I cannot sleep on my left arm at all. Only my right arm. So, I did not sleep for 3 nights. It was great. So great. Yeah, that kind of sucked. Besides that, I only really had one major symptom, which was for the next 4 days, I had a very mild low-grade headache in the back of my head. It didn't interfere with anything, and it wasn't so painful that I took medication for it and tried to go to the doctor and XYZ. But it was definitely a little bit annoying. It was like one of those dull headaches that you get when you like stand up too quickly and like the blood rushes to your head. Like one of those. That went away after 4 days. Besides that, I did not get any other symptoms. Just that headache and a sore arm, and that was it. Pretty mild for the most part. Everything was okay. So every night I would record my temperature and I would put down in my diary, they called it a diary, but really it would just be like, what's your temperature today? I'd be like, okay. They're like, do you have any COVID symptoms? I'd be like, no. They'd be like, what kind of body aches are you experiencing? Like, la-di-da-di-da. My boyfriend was like, everything that happens is a symptom of the vaccine. So one day I was like, I'm really craving like a burger from Burger King. He was like, write it down in your journal. Vaccine causes hunger for beef. I was like, okay. Another day I was like, I'm feeling really cranky today. He's like, note it down. Vaccine side effect. Severe crankiness. I was like, dude, just shut up. I get it. So I come in for my first follow-up visit, and it's essentially all the same thing. Blood pressure test, temperature test, spit test. They take my blood again. I didn't have to take a pregnancy test, which was great, because for some reason pregnancy tests really irk me. Like, I really hate them. I don't know. Hate them like almost more than like the blood work, which is weird. One interesting thing to note actually is that before this I had a major phobia of getting my blood work done. So like the very, very first time they did it, that very first visit, I actually almost passed out. Now you guys are probably thinking, why in the world would you do this if you pass out from getting your blood work done? And my answer is, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Money? I'm a broke bitch, okay? But what's really interesting is that because now I get my blood work done so often, it's actually desensitized me to it, and I'm much more comfortable getting it done now than I did before, which is kind of cool. I didn't expect that to happen. Oh, it's getting kind of dark. Can you see me? So yeah, today I had a phone visit. I didn't have to go on site. They just called me and asked me, hey, how are you doing? How are you feeling? Are you experiencing any more symptoms? XYZ. It's like, nope, everything's good. They're like, okay, awesome. So your second dosage is gonna be next week. I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm gonna go in for that. That's basically it. So far, honestly, it's been a pretty good experience. Yeah, like I have to go in for a lot of doctor's appointments, and I got a shot, and I'm still not 100% sure if I got the vaccine. Like the thing is, when you don't know whether you got the vaccine or the placebo, you almost feel like your brain is kind of like fucking with you, you know what I mean? Like I'm like, was the headache just me maybe, or was that actually the vaccine? Like, I don't know. So hopefully with the second dosage, I'll be a little more sure, because I heard that more symptoms appear with the second dosage. There's just this guy jogging. I mean, I do have to go in for these doctor's appointments, but it's not like I have that much else to do during a pandemic, and I'm making some side cash, which also, for the money, what they do is they give you a prepaid Visa, like prepaid debit card, and then they just load that with money. Every in-person visit or every phone visit, they deposit money on your card. Overall, I don't have any regrets. The people that I'm working with at the clinical trial site are great. They take care of me. They're super kind. They explain everything and make sure I know what I'm doing. And they're just incredibly supportive and nice. I'm happy that I get to contribute to science this way. I'm proud that that's a contribution I can make. So, yeah, go science. Woo!
Today.
Food break. You dig into these fries. Ooh. I'm so hungry. Overall, it just feels really cool to be a part of history in a way. You know what I mean? I've made like $300 so far. So I called the CRO and I was like, yo, can I talk about this like on my YouTube channel? And they're like, yeah, why not? I'm like, well, I don't know. I mean, am I allowed to mention the name of the biotech and everything? And they're like, yeah, why not? And I'm like, I'm not gonna get in trouble. He's like, no, you crazy person. So the San Diego biotech is called Arcturus, something like that. If you Google it, I'm sure it'll pop up. This sandwich is so good. These pickles are bomb. So my feedback on Baba's chicken, it's really good. It's another great addition to the San Diego, Nashville style hot fried chicken food scene. Definitely very competitive, very delicious. If you're ever in the Hillcrest area, make sure to stop by. Their prices are pretty good. I like how they have different side options instead of just the usual crinkle cut fries and coleslaw and mac and cheese. The loaded fries are pretty good. They're a tiny bit bland. I do think I like the chicken sandwich better, or just a personal preference. I did ask some people on my Instagram whether they had questions or not, so I'm just making sure. Is burning questions a double meaning? My question was, do y'all have any burning questions for me? There was actually no burning. There was soreness, but no burning. Am I going to partake in outdoor dining? Honestly, probably not. Even if there's a good chance that I have gotten the vaccine, I just want to err on the cautious side. I'm probably just going to keep doing takeout, which is what I have been doing. And I don't think the pictures of the takeout I've been getting have turned out that badly. So I'll probably stick with that until I feel like ICU rates and case rates really stabilize and go down. I just personally don't feel quite comfortable with dining out yet. I'll be staying home. I'll be taking pictures of my takeout. I'll be quarantining, although I'm not gonna lie, I feel so fucking lonely these days from not having seen my friends or anybody else, just my boyfriend every single day. That's it for today's mukbang, guys. Sorry if it felt like I barely ate any of the food. I felt like I had so much talking to do that I barely did any eating. Life of a food blogger. I'm just kidding. Totally kidding. Let me know what you guys think below. Let me know if you have any further questions about the clinical trial, or if you have any concerns, I guess, about the clinical trial. I don't know. If you're like worried for my health or something. Let me know what you think of the whole Nashville hot fried chicken trend. And if you're going to be trying Baba's, or maybe what's your favorite place in San Diego, I'd love to know that too. Have a fabulous day, guys. I love you. Mwah! I will see you soon.